Good morning, everybody. This is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead, and today we are going to compare 3 different types of vacuum sealers. First is the Food Saver vacuum sealer. Next is the Food Saver handheld vacuum sealer. And last, this is the one I just got. This is an electric mason jar vacuum sealer. Which one does a better job? Which one is least expensive? And how well do they really work? And before we get started, we are going to talk a little bit about the benefits of vacuum sealing. When you vacuum seal in jars, what you're doing is taking a shelf-stable food, like this is cereal, you're placing it in the jar, and you are removing all the air. What that does is it preserves the food. And so not only does your food last longer, but it's going to keep pests and insects out of there. The other thing I like about this, I can put it up on my shelf in my pantry and I can see exactly what I have. If I have 3 containers of cereal, I don't need to go buy one. And the last thing that I really like about sealing it is how long it will save your food. And so I look at the best by date and add at least 1 year, though I have subscribers that have added 3, 4, and 5 years to the shelf life. I'm going to show you a variety of products that we are going to vacuum seal. So I'm going to do some cereal in a 1/2 gallon. I'm going to do some organic white rice. This is a wide mouth quart jar. And then over here, this is a powdery substance. And when you're doing something like baking ingredients, you're going to have to put a barrier between your vacuum sealer and your jar of food. That way you don't suck up all that powder into your machine. And that doesn't matter which machine you're using. All of them need some sort of barrier so you don't ruin your machine. A couple other things we're going to do. I have a boxed prepared meal. They're a little bit different. And lastly, some pasta. In order to vacuum seal, you're going to need a few items no matter which sealer you use. So first off, you're going to need a sealer. Second off, you're going to need canning jars. Now, they come in all different sizes and shapes, and you're going to have wide mouth, but you're also going to have regular mouth, so you need jars. On that same thing, you're going to need the lids. These, we call them flats. You can buy them by the box, or if you're buying a case of jars, you're going to have both the ring and the flats. And mentioning ring, the rings look like this. These rings, once you have vacuum sealed your product, you're going to put a ring on it. And a lot of people say, why does it need a ring? Because with canning, you don't put the ring on. You put the ring on in case your jar gets bumped. Now, your product is not going to go bad, but it will become stale. So if you have the ring on, it's just a second way to protect it. All right, a couple other things you're going to need. This is my funnel that I use to put all the things into the jar. So if I put that on there, I'm not going to make a huge mess. And a few miscellaneous things, a pair of scissors, a paper punch, and a Sharpie to write on the lids. Let's get started. I am going to start with cereal because that is something I literally vacuum seal every single week. This is Panda Puffs Peanut Butter Organic Cereal, and anytime I can find organic cereal on sale, I purchase it. This was $2.84. It had been $5.69. So I got a really good deal on it, but now I need to preserve it. Before I do any vacuum sealing, the very first thing I do is wash every single jar, inside, outside, and completely let it dry because you do not want moisture in your jar that you're putting dry foods in. So all of these jars have been washed and they are ready to go. The next step is to pour your cereal into the jar. And as you can see, that funnel really helps to get it in the jar and not all over your countertop. All right, so that was 1 bag of cereal and there's still room in there. So I'm going to open another bag and fill it up. I have often said that the hardest part of vacuum sealing is finding the right size jar. Now, thankfully, I had more boxes of cereal, so that wasn't too hard. But this one, it looks like it's full, but I want to show you a little secret here. You pull up that. And even though it looks full, what I want to do is shake it around and thump it so that it lowers and I can put more into it. All I did was thump this on the countertop, and you can see by my finger there is so much more room. So I'm going to fill this again to the top. When you vacuum seal, you want full containers. You don't want to have 4 inches of space there. It's going to take too long to get all the air out, and it could be difficult. It may not happen. So make sure you fill it to the top. This jar is filled. Now I'm going to wipe the rim of it. I'm just using my finger. My fingers are clean because I washed my hands. If it was something very powdery like flour, I would want to use a dampened paper towel. But for something bulky like this cereal, no problem. And then I put my flat on top. For this first jar, I am going to use my Food Saver machine. And in order to do that, I need to have the jar sealers. This is a separate purchase, which already is a downside of using your Food Saver machine because these were not real expensive, maybe less than $20, but the Food Saver was $200. So when you start adding up all the things, this one is definitely the most pricey. So this is the wide mouth. You can also, they come in a set, also have the regular mouth. So since it's a wide mouth, I'm going to place that on top. The other complicated thing is when using your Food Saver machine, it has to have the accessory dock. If it does not have this, you're not going to be able to use your Food Saver. And so what you have is this tubing that comes out with an adapter head, and that gets pushed into the hole on the top of my jar. Now, one of the advantages of using my Food Saver is that the suction is far superior on this than the other two options. And so because of that, these seal much faster and I think tighter as well. They keep the seal longer. So although it costs more, you're also going to get your money's worth with this product. All right, so to use it, you turn the power on and turn on accessory. And I timed that. It took 28 seconds for the machine to shut off, which it does when it's finished. Listen for the pop. All right, and there was a pop there. And check the seal. To check the seal, you're going to remove the jar sealer and you're going to look to see that there's an indent there. That means it has been pulled down as the air was removed. Then you're going to pull on this flat. And I will tell you, since using this machine, I have never had a failed lid that was wide mouth. That's the trick. I have had failed regular mouth, but as far as wide mouth, not once has that never sealed for me. At this point, you're going to put a ring on it, and with your Sharpie, you're going to write the expiration date. And what I do is I put expires on, and I add a year to when the Best Buy date was. I am going to repeat that entire thing, but instead of using my Food Saver machine, I am going to use this one, and it is brand new. Electric Mason Jar Vacuum Sealer. I just purchased this from Amazon, and it cost $35. A few features I'm really loving about this is, first off, I can charge it on my computer. That makes it very handy. Other thing, push this button, and it tells me I have 81% battery left. So it is rechargeable, but I know exactly how much battery is in there. And the last thing, I couldn't figure this out because it says regular jars. How am I supposed to do wide mouth? This bottom piece unscrews. So you pop the bottom one on, which is a sealer for regular jars, and that leaves you with the sealer for wide mouth. And so when you store this, you only have a one-piece construction, and that's pretty exciting. And because it is a one-piece construction, you don't need the jar sealers, and you don't need the tubing. You don't even need the vacuum sealer. This is it. Everything is included. So I'm pretty excited about this one. We're going to try it and see what happens. I filled up the jar and I'm going to put my lid on top. Now this time I just take the entire machine and I put it on top and push down. So far pretty easy. And push power. This machine is much quieter and it's giving me a countdown so I'll know exactly how long it takes to seal the cereal. Wow, that's, there it went. That was 3 minutes long. So 180 seconds is 3 minutes. So it took significantly longer to seal. So that's definitely a downside that I have just seen. And we check the seal. It is on there solid. So it does a fine job of sealing it. It just takes a lot longer to do it. And this last time, I'm going to use my Food Saver handheld one, but I am all out of my Panda Puffs, so this is very similar. This is peanut butter and cocoa dots, so I'm going to fill the jar with those. Let's talk a little bit about the handheld Food Saver vacuum sealer. And this one I purchased at Ollie's maybe 3-4 weeks ago. It's normally $100. I was able to get it at Ollie's for $19.99, and I had a coupon bringing it down to $15. So that is a huge savings. Out of the 3 different ones, this is by far the cheapest. I've been using it for a few weeks. I like it. It has 2 things that it does. It can vacuum seed and it can marinate, and both of them work wonderful. But we are going to vacuum seal today, and to do that, you take off the bottom cap. This cap is a protective one so that you can marinate and not get your juices into your vacuum sealer. Now, this sealer has its own rechargeable base, and I typically just keep it plugged in my kitchen so it's always ready. It may not tell me what percentage is left, but since I always have it plugged in, it's 100%. And like your big Food Saver, you are going to need these jar adapters. So I have put the lid on this one, and I'm going to place the adapter on top until it thumps. One thing you don't need is the tubing that connects to your Food Saver. That already has it. So what you're going to do is stick that into the hole on top. And I got to tell you, it is finally raining. It has been a month, but I am amazed at how hazy everything is from the humidity. So I apologize that this is not real clear. But you're going to place it on top and then push vacuum. All right, and again, I timed it. That was 15 seconds. So this one seals the fastest. Check the seal. It's indented, and it is on there good. So all you need to do is put on a ring and right on the top. So all 3 of these jars were sealed in 3 different ways. How do they compare? This one is my Food Saver machine, and what I notice is you can see the indent very clearly on the lid. So this has an extremely tight seal, but it's also going to cost you about $215, $20 to have all the equipment. This one was my electric jar sealer, and this one I loved that it was a 1-piece unit. All I have to do is charge it. Tells me what the battery life is, but wow, 3 minutes to seal something is a long time. And the last one was my handheld Food Saver. That one was the cheapest and the fastest. So which one is better? Like most things, it depends on your family. I love my Food Saver machine. I have already placed the investment into the materials that I like, but it is solid, it is standard, and I love that I can depend on it. But it doesn't typically seal my regular size lids. How did I adjust? I don't usually use regular size lids. This new one, that is the electric Mason jar vacuum sealer. I love that it's 1 piece. It is relatively inexpensive, $30-some to use it. It's easy. It just takes a long time to seal. And the last one, this is by far the least expensive. This is a good one for somebody that just wants to try it. They've never done it before, but only if you can find it on sale. So what I'm going to do is I am going to vacuum seal the rest of the products that I have. I'm going to do it quickly so you can see different ways to vacuum seal. Let's start with rice. I'm just going to fill the jar, and I will be right back with you when it's ready to seal. This is an easy food item to store, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to vacuum seal it with my large vacuum sealer. I already have that attached. Cord is in, turn it on, and seal. And I heard it clink, so that's usually, if you hear that noise and you hear the air, like that, it is almost always a guaranteed seal. But as I said, I've never had a failed seal on my wide mouth. Check the seal. It's on there good. Put a ring on it. All right, here's one. I'm going to try that Mason vacuum jar sealer. I'm going to see if it really can do a small mouth lid or a regular lid. This comes in a pouch, and if you squeeze it, you can see there is air in that. They have not removed the air. So if I was to stick this bag into my jar, it's doing nothing. I have two options. I can poke a hole in here with my paper punch, and I've done that many times. Just poke a hole in it and then stick it in the jar, and it will indeed pull out the air. But what I'm going to do is open it and pour it into my jar. I like to do when I'm coating meats like chicken, is I will put it on a plate and I will use it. That way I'm not wasting so much. So I can just scoop out the amount I need, and then I have the container for next time. So I'm going to take this out and fill my jar. Doing powdered items takes a couple more steps, and that's why I wanted to show step by step how to do it. First, I'm going to take a damp paper towel, and I need to clear off that entire lid because you will not be able to seal that if it has crumbs on top of it. So I'm going to wipe all that clean. The next step that you don't have to do with your bulky items is to place a barrier between the vacuum sealer and your powdered item. And so I do that by cutting out a round piece of paper towel. And I am going to push that down around it and put the lid on top. All right, here comes the true test. Now I know my big food saver machine will not seal that lid. I can try it and try it. I've done every little trick, and even if I get it sealed, it pops off in a day or two. So I am going to try this electric Mason jar vacuum sealer. Now I'm aware it's going to take a really long time, but we'll see how long it actually takes on the smaller jars. Well, we are over 3 minutes, and oh, there it went again, right at 3 minutes. And by golly, it is completely sealed. This is fantastic. So even though I prefer to use my big vacuum sealer, if I want to start doing regular size lids, I'm going to switch to my small vacuum sealer. And another hint, when you are doing powdered items, you will forget what you put in this cute little jar. This is one of my favorite jars. I found that at a thrift shop, but it is so cute and little. But write down what's in the jar and then your expiration date. Next is Cracker Barrel macaroni and cheese dinner. It has the pouch with the cheese sauce in it, and I am going to try to put it in a wide mouth pint, but it may not fit, but my aim is to get it in there. This is the pouch that comes in it. Do not put a hole in the pouch. This is not a dry powder that you need to remove the air from, so if you do that, it's going to spoil. So keep that, and I'm going to just place that into my jar. All right, now I am going to add all the macaroni around it, and the next step, I need to cut off the directions. And it's a no-go, so I'm going to have to switch this to a quart. That's a better fit. There's going to be a lot of head space. It just means it's going to take longer to suck out all the air, but it definitely would not fit into the pint. I cut out the box title so I know exactly what's in there and the cooking directions. Now, some people refuse to put those into the container, but the way I look at it, the macaroni was already touching the cardboard, and if I'm to put it in plastic and then stick it in there, I want my food touching plastic in long-term storage. So this is what I do. If you prefer to put it in something else, go for it. This is also regular size. So this time I'm going to use my handheld food saver and see if it will remove all the air from this jar. Very quick. That was about 10 seconds. I have my doubts. All right, this lid is definitely sealed. I am surprised. It was fast. It was easy. I'm going to put a ring on it, though, and I'm just going to keep an eye on this one. I'm going to keep it in the kitchen because I can't imagine that 10 seconds with all that air space definitely sealed this jar. So jury's out on that one. And the last ingredient I'm going to vacuum seal today is some leftover noodles that I'm going to put in a small mouth lid. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to use my big food saver. All right, I'm not real hopeful on this one, only because the jar is only 3/4 filled and I'm using my big food saver. All right, let's try it. All right, let's see if it's sealed. It says that the seal is definitely tight. I'm going to put a ring on it, but I'm going to keep this one in the kitchen along with the pasta and just keep an eye on it and see if the seal breaks. There you have it. 3 different ways to vacuum seal all your dry ingredients. So which one is better? It is a personal choice. Some of them are fast. Some of them are very slow. But is the slower seal better? Some of them can cost you $200 and others are $15. So it's a personal choice of which one will work best for you. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.